morning. We're pleased to be joined by their new head coach, Mike Macdonald. Good morning.
Hey, guys. Great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here and fun to watch you leading practices here over the course of this training camp. What have you enjoyed most about doing it?
Well, I feel like I'm playing a home game finally with you guys on the radio. You're actually out by the by our weight room and stuff rather than being back in our little cave back there. So that's probably the best part, Mike.
We're on your turf.
So if I understand right, the best part of training camp so far is being interviewed by us.
Yes.
This is definitely the best.
This is the highlight.
Right before practice, when nothing else is going on. So, basically what I do is just walk out there and Bowie blows the horn and we're off and rolling. So, no, this is great. We're doing 10 a.m. practice today, and those guys, we got the music cooking inside. So, just emphasizing like starting fast, especially when we're simulating, 10 a.m. game time, things like that.
You have said on multiple occasions that this is surreal. First training camp out here, surreal. Being in Lumen Field Saturday.
I need a bigger vocabulary.
It was surreal. I tell Salk all the time, man, when coaches repeat themselves, it means a little something to me. Things have been surreal. Is it starting to settle a little bit, though? Or do you appreciate those surreal moments?
I mean, of course, yeah, you appreciate it, of course. I remember a couple, it's just through your career thinking through some momentous moments, like just walking out into Michigan Stadium and everybody's there. You're like, oh wow, this is cool.
Yes.
Being here in this in this environment, being in the stadium on Saturday, just kind of taking it in and understanding where you're at in the process. And honestly, after coming out and watching the tape and really evaluating where we're at as a team, I think now you're saying, okay, like it's go time. It's game week. We're gonna have to make some decisions here pretty soon, and that's the things that are always going through my mind.
Sure.
But there are moments in time where you say, okay, like, yeah, this is pretty awesome.
How do you go about designing training camp? I mean, like, go back a couple of months here. It's your first time as a head coach. I'm sure you had to do some of it in previous jobs. But what is it like to design training camp?
Well, you need a place to start from. You can't just wave a magic wand and
but you can't like Google
periods.
What is a training camp?
Yeah, totally.
Right, like AI.
Well, yeah, it's big picture. How many opportunities you have, how long you have, what are the rules, what you're trying to accomplish, what we've done in Baltimore, what we liked, what we did in there, and then maybe start blueprinting from there. Understanding how they've operated here. That's a starting point, and then. We've talked about it. I've said it, like this is where your team is forged. So how do you make it stressful on the guys? How do you create game situations? How do you evaluate your roster? How do you kind of put them through it, but also take care of the guys with all the sports science? It's a fun process. I feel like all we do is plan now. I wish I did a little more football, but there's a lot of planning involved, and it's fun to work with guys like Sam and the other coordinators and Leslie and bounce ideas back and forth about, hey, what do you guys think about this? And then I think one of the things I've learned about myself is I can't plan 45 days of training camp to the T and say, hey, look, we're adhering to this schedule and do that like 3 months out. It was like, hey, okay, this is how we want to operate. This is big picture. Let's leave for the summer having a good feel for how we're going to approach this thing. And then, we use the term like staying frosty around here, like, hey, the team needs this now, so we need to be able to pivot, and just having the flexibility throughout the whole, building of, hey, this is where the team needs to go for this week, and I think, that's how it's kind of coming together.
Your day starts at what time? Head off the pillow at what time, and what time is the head on the pillow?
I'm up at 5. I'm up at 5, working out here at 6. Nothing crazy compared to some of these coaches, man. Some of these coaches are Grubb's wild. He beats me in the office every day. And then I'm on record. I don't sleep well at night. I mean, I don't think well at night. Excuse me. So I need to be asleep. In training camp, I'm asleep by 10 at the max.
Wow.
You got to be able to sleep, man. You got to be fresh. Like right after I saw you this morning, Brock. Like that's from that time till now is like when I'm cooking, we're knocking a lot of stuff out. And then at nighttime is really mostly up for the coaches.
What are you seeing out here? We've gotten a chance to watch a couple of these practices. Have you started to get a sense of a team identity or team chemistry at all?
We're working through it. I mean, it's this part of training camp is it's a grind, and it should be. And I think if you don't go through it, then you can't say that you're the team that you set out to be. So that's what I'm seeing. The guys are getting through it. I think there's times in practices, especially on some of the long ones, where you feel like, hey, there's a decision to be made here, 20, 30 minutes out of how are we going to close this thing out? Are we going to do it the right way? Are we going to push through? Or are we going to give in? And the guys haven't given in yet. So I'm proud of that. But to your point about identity, I think we're in the process of that. We're not there yet. That's okay. You shouldn't have an identity on week 12 or day 12, excuse me. So, but that's something that we're chasing for sure. I mean, you got to have it, otherwise you're not in a good spot.
So you said a couple times that you want to make it hard on them and that you want to stress them out, I think was the phrase you used, or something very close.
Well,
to
not
that.
out, but stress. I mean, they should feel. It's this isn't a walk in the park. It shouldn't be.
So what kind of things do you do to make it hard on?
Oh, it's just the amount of exposures you're going to have, amount of reps, mentally, physically. Like we say, it's a double-edged sword that we're forging. Like you need to be able to do hard things to get confidence, and when it becomes real. And so you need that foundation to stand on when those situations come up in games, and these are the first time of all of us doing these things. So. You have to get the rep. We just had the Blue Angels here, and it was funny. They were in the team meeting, and we were asking about, how do you make it come together? And the boss said, reps. And I cheered from the side, and the guys did not like that answer. And I love that answer because that's what it takes. Yeah. You need reps, man. You gotta do the things, And again, we want to be able to get to different things schematically, and it sounds sweet, but if you're not good at stuff, then you can't get to all those things. And if you're doing those things, you're not good at them, then it's going to look really bad. So I think the guys understand that. But that's what we're chasing.
Do you feel like you have enough reps? Like we get to see the public practice, right?
Yeah.
So how critical is the stuff we don't see, the walkthroughs and all?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we call them inexpensive reps. You'd be great at those things. So, we have ACT practice, which is basically a walkthrough. But the approach has to be right every day. I mean, those are a lot of reps that you can bank. But if you're doing it and your footwork isn't right, and your eye's not right, and the communications and the sense of urgency, the operation, all those things, if it's not up to the standard, then you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
So
inexpensive reps. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you
just
mean
in terms of load and not going full speed.
Yep.
This is a Todd Monkenism from Baltimore, but he called them mental sweat. I always thought that was pretty cool. Just like it should be taxing mentally, but physically, it's not feasible, not possible to put these guys through all the reps that you want to.
I noticed that a lot of those reps seem to be on red zone, in the red zone area. Is that something that is a point of focus for you?
Well, that's where the magic happens. I mean, absolutely, things happen down there it's just the game's faster, and some of it's based off a load. Like there's some levers that you can pull. So, talk about inexpensive reps. It's just less running down there. The field's shortened and stuff. So, you can get those reps normally later in a practice where guys are tired mentally, but you can also shrink the field on them, and it's not as tough on the wideouts.
How is your mental sweat? So, you for all these years as a positional coach and then a coordinator, right? And practice ends and you get to your film and you're doing all your evaluation. Practice ends now, and I bet you're pulled in a lot of different directions. You're walking into different meetings. You're seeing both offense and defense. You mentioned the sports side, all of that, right? Mm-hmm. How is your mental sweat of training camp as a head coach?
Well, I love routines. So you kind of budget the time after practice or before practice of, okay, my mind can't be where it normally would be in those situations. And that's part of the deal. That's cool. Yep. And so it's just like, hey, let's block it out. Boom. And then once you have your all, scheduled that you can get to, then that's the fun part.
Yeah.
And I think we got great people, great coaches that love ball, and they got low ego. And, when we're talking through things and how things are, it's not like this. It's just this. It's. I wish you were in there. It's just this back and forth of, hey, this is how you see it. We're not there yet. Here, let's chase this. This is why. And you're just constantly just kind of whittling away at this picture that you're trying to create.
And that's with your coaches, and then you probably spend time with John and the scouts
and
the personnel department too.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you think about the day. By that 9 o'clock hour, you've sweat a lot mentally.
Are you adjusting? How are you adjusting to the offense sometimes winning the day?
That's a tough one.
Is it?
That's a tough one. I mean, but it's good for us, so you try to click back into what's good for the Seahawks. You want guys making plays, and we're not game planning against one another, so we're going to be in some bad spots defensively where the offense should have the advantage on that given play, and that's good. And then the tables will be turned, and but you want to see us moving and grooving, making plays, guys catching the ball, blocking.
I don't know. I heard you after the second padded practice. Your offense won the day, and you sounded very dejected. I was worried about you. It's like, that shouldn't be that bad a thing. Are you okay?
Man, I thought I hit it better than that. Apparently not.
All right. Well, it's just an observation.
Well, it's funny because, the guys will give me crap on offense because they're like, oh, you're a defensive guy, you're a defensive coach. So then I'll make a decision, in favor of the offense because that's what the situation. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing from defense. So you can't win.
I call you a turncoat. Yeah, makes sense.
Hey, I showed you a video there before we jumped on of a joint practice going on this morning with the Giants and Lions that turned into an absolute melee. And not just once, not just twice, but 3 different occasions, fights breaking out all over the field. Next week, you guys will be in Tennessee for the first time for any of us that have been around the Seahawks forever, having joint practice. How do you avoid that?
Yeah, well, I saw a couple seconds of it, of the video, so I don't know all the things that happened. But just speaking about fights in general, it's tough. You don't want fights, and we've had a couple flare-ups in our camp on our team, and it's not what you want for sure. I think, and the guys are smart. They understand what's going on. They understand. I think if you can frame it to them of, this is what we're trying to accomplish. We're in constant communication with the Titans coaches. Got a lot of respect for Brian. But I think if you frame it in terms of, hey, look, these are penalties. These are finable offenses in games that are going to hurt the team. And we said when we started out on this whole thing, it's all about the team. And we can frame it that way. And if something's going to get pissed off at some point, how we handle it, we got to keep our poise. We got to move to the next play. But obviously we don't want melees out there for sure. Keep guys safe.
We're going to see Geno practice today?
I think there's a pretty good chance you're going to see 7 out there.
Okay, good. Well, that's certainly awesome. What did you? Oh, he's already out there. There we go. What did you see from?
There's a good chance we see him right now.
What did you see from Sam over the course of Geno being out for a few days?
I saw a competitor out there. I mean, it didn't I think if you asked him, he'd say that he's played some better football. But I saw him be able to operate the offense with the ones in there. There's some work to be done. We're still going on that. I think probably a little bit of a learn, just getting used to the offensive line and where the guys are going to be and the timing of the routes. Some of those things are, weren't where we wanted it to be. But I thought we got good work in. I thought it was some good practices. I think we learned a lot about our guys, not just Sam, but the rest of the guys. So I think overall, it's not a blessing in disguise, but it's, we're still able to become a better football team even when Geno was out there, so hopefully we'll see some good stuff out there today.
I've got 2, you called them Monkenisms. I like 2 Macdonaldisms that I've heard so far, the voice of poise and the tip of the spear. So when you're looking at number 7 out there, and you've said that on a few different occasions, he's the tip of the spear.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Yeah, it starts with how we operate a quarterback. He's our quarterback. And I think he's got a great feel for how we want to attack, how Grubb wants to operate, getting out of, without giving all the information out, but just how we're moving down the field with different tempos and things like that. And I think he's in on it, man. I think he's excited about it. And we're going to go as he goes, and that's an exciting part of what we got going on.
You went through all the interview process of the coordinators. You settled on a guy that was right here. He just had to come down 405 a little bit from Montlake.
Little detour in Alabama.
Yeah,
unfortunately for him.
Yeah, just a quick little trip down to Tuscaloosa. Not for me. I'll head back here. I'll be on the lake. What does his offense, as you're now seeing it and living it through the whole offseason and into training camp here, does it remind you of some that you have faced over the years, through the years? Well, you game plan for?
Well, so again, it's mirrored to how we want to run our program. You know, it's rooted in like hardcore fundamentals. You know, we want to be smart, we want to be flexible, we want to be complementary, but we want to be diverse in what we can get to. We want to build it around our quarterback, which is really building it around our players and what they can do. We want to get the ball to our playmakers. You know, being aggressive and getting the ball down the field, and we got guys that can go get that thing. And then we got a heck of a couple runners too that can tote it as well. So, I mean, I know without speaking generalities, but that's the vision. You know, it's like, hey, we can hit you at all parts of the field at different tempos and different operation style, and we got the trigger man for the job too. So, above all else, Brock, it's like, hey, what's the mentality of this guy and how he wants to run the offense within the scheme of how we want to be as a football team, and it felt like there was a connection there and there was alignment, and so it's been fun to work with Ryan. As
you might imagine, sports radio, we talk about some of the biggest stars a lot, right? Audience is most interested in a lot of the players they already know about. But let's go the other way for a moment. Who are some players that you've been talking about a lot or watching and enjoying or think are having great training camps that maybe we should be talking about more because you're pretty impressed?
Man, we've had some young, without giving out all the juice on the young guys, because we might want to keep some guys here. Let's not keep them. Let's not let them go to the rivals.
Right.
Understood. Come on, put me on the spot.
Well, they don't have to be undrafted rookies. I mean, just some guys that you think have had good camp.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking at Noah Fant. He's playing great. He's doing a great job. Give me some guys. Devon Witherspoon's having a great camp. Not a lot of ball. He always he actually was just calling me 2 minutes ago while you guys were on the line.
You seem hard on him. Are you a little hard on him? Is that part of it? Just listening, it seems like you challenge him a little bit.
Yeah, he's a second-year guy. He needs to get challenged. I mean, he does. I mean, he thinks whatever he thinks doesn't matter.
What does he think?
He should think that he's a great player. He is a great player. And he does, and he thinks he's a great player. But there's more there. There's greatness in there, and so it's our job to pull it out of him. Julian Love's had a good camp. Steady force, move him around. Excited about our front defensively. Excited about the competition in the tight end room. Interior O-line is not been settled yet, and I think that's going to come to life here in the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Would you like that to settle?
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great. I would love someone to just go grab it by the horns and just say, I'm the guy. Yeah. At this spot. I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that gets back to him.
Has Charles Cross been as good in your eyes as he's been in our eyes from the outside?
I got a lot of respect for Charles Cross, man. The guy works his absolute tail off. I'm not an O-line expert by any stretch. Just hate to admit it. But watching him play and his consistency, and then from our offensive coaches, I think he's taken a step fundamentally. I think he's in a really good spot. So I'm excited about Charles. I'm excited for him,
It's interesting. As you sit here, I'm thinking about that Baltimore game last year where you were on the other side. And you game plan for this team, and you game plan for Geno and those backs, and a lot of these, Noah and DK, and a lot of these guys that they're here personnel-wise were there last year in Baltimore when you guys absolutely took them apart in a real humbling game that John Schneider's talked about. That was a humbling experience. Don't want to go through that again. Now you're on this side of it with that personnel. Can you compare and contrast when you attack them from a defensive coordinator as an opponent to now actually having this clay to mold? How does that compare and contrast?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think the biggest thing that's different, Brock, now is now I know the people. Yeah. It's so cool to hear who they are behind the jersey number, behind what you're seeing on tape. And so I believe in the people, just in what their goals are and how they want to improve. Completely. I mean, it's different people, different schemes, different coaching. So I think you just – I haven't really thought about it through that lens, but it does hit you when you're going through personnel and, like, especially when you first get here and then you're meeting people like, oh, shoot, like, I just spent a half hour with Noah Fant, you know, and, like, learning what he's about and what he wants to get done. Like, it was really cool, you know.
What do you do to meet them? What do you do to get to know – not just meet them, obviously, but what do you do to get to know them?
Well, you got to – I mean, you've got plenty of technology out there. You know, you can't go travel around the country and stuff, but talk to the guys, text them, stay in touch. If they're on your mind, you know, let them know. There's a balance there. There's a little bit of, you know, you want some sort of – it's not, you know, I'm not exactly like the big, you know, give me a hug all the time guy, and I'm not FaceTiming them or whatever, but I think you do have to make a concentrated effort to connect with your guys and just try to get it. There's a wall there initially with the head coach. You know, they're going to be nice, and they're going to tell you the things you want to hear. And it's like, you know, you got to try to get that wall down so you can really feel like what they're thinking. And then you can kind of get your guard down a little bit and tell them, like, hey, this is why we're doing this. This is what we see in you. Things like that. I mean, it's not perfect, but, you know, it's something that we're working on.
It seems like so much of being a positional coach or a coordinator in this sport is all about the technical. And that so much of being a head coach and just listening to you there is almost more the psychology and the emotional more than the mental in terms of X's and O's. Is that an adjustment? Is that something you study ahead of time? How do you work on improving and getting to that point with something that's a little new compared to what you were doing?
Yeah, it's funny. You have all these ideas when you first start, or when you're going the interview process of this is what our program would look like. This is what's really important to me. Get this huge notebook, and and then when it comes to, like, you know, you're on the cutting room floor and you're about to go talk to your team, and you're going to build out messaging. It's like you can't tell them everything, so it really forces you, like, what matters. What is it actually important to you? What is actually true to you that, like, I know, like, hey, look, guys, this is us. Like, we're not budging off of these things.
What are they?
Well, I'll leave that with our guys. You know, it's in-house. Good shot. Nice try.
Tried.
He's pretty good, huh?
Nice try.
Try to throw it in there.
Pete would say that to him a lot, too. Nice try. Yeah, good try. Good try.
Yeah, that'll stay in-house with our guys. If they leak it, that's perfectly okay. That means they're buying in. But it does force you to say, okay, this is true to, like, this is who we're going to be right here. And that's the message. And you're just trying to do is just create this alignment where that's where we want to end up, is this, like, this connected unit.
You know what's interesting, too, as you walk through that? Man, I wasn't inside the building, but I've been around Jim a lot with Michigan and Harbaugh. That sure strikes me as something that both Jim and John
totally
nailed.
Yeah, they did a great job of that. And two totally different style. Like, we talk about methods and principles, like, principles the same, methods way different. And but, you know, they're really tight. They're brothers, guys that, you know, but having their players' backs.
Yes.
You know, like, supporting their guys, doing it the right way with, like, integrity, hard work, like, toughness, confronting things, like, just that's what we're trying to create. I mean, I believe in those things. I mean, how could you not? Those are, like, old school principles of just great teams, man. Like, these connected teams where you're trying not to create this, like, you're trying to create this realness with one another, and but they did. Yeah, I mean, proof's in the pudding.
Anybody make you laugh? Any of these guys make you laugh?
None of them, never.
Who's made you laugh the hardest?
I mean, it's got to be Spoon. Reek Wallen's underratedly funny. I make them laugh. I got good jokes. You just have to, like, they're realizing, like, I'll be, like, coy with it. Like, I'll hit them with something, and then they'll look at me, and then, like, 5 seconds, and then they laugh.
That's pretty funny, Coach. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's what I'm shooting for.
Okay. You're looking for the delayed gratification laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's next level comedy.
Well, if we're going to be talking to you every Monday, we'll see if that works with the audience as well. Like, Tuesday morning.
I don't think that's good radio.
Well, we'll find out. Yeah. Coach, thank you for coming by. We know you got to get out to practice.
Guys.
We appreciate you taking the time, and we'll look forward to doing it this season.
All right, cool.
Good luck. Guys. All right, there you go. There is Mike Macdonald, new head coach of the